What's up, people? I am back for another video. I am doing my top 5 movies from 1983. This one was a bit hard because they're just 83. I didn't feel like, besides like Scarface, which is going to be my number one. There was Scarface. You did have Superman 3 that year, which there were some good parts in that, but Return of the Jedi was just never. That's like probably the biggest one of that year, aside from Scarface. But for me, I like Return of the Jedi when this was more when I was into Star Wars. It never was one of my favorites, so I couldn't put it in the ranking. So this one was a bit harder, but I managed. My number 5 is gonna be like a way out there one that some people don't even know about, but I managed to do it. So Spy Who Loved Me, I'm gonna have to just delay again. Sorry. I'll promise, guys. We'll get back into Bond. I just gotta figure out a way to watch it. I might try to watch it on the weekend, and then we'll just review it ready for next two. I might just double up and do 2 Bond movies next week. Spy Who Loved Me, and then the one that's after. So I'll just double up next week. But tomorrow instead, since I'm gonna go see Sisu a little after not long after I do this video. So I'm thinking I'll review that tomorrow. We'll do a spoiler review for that tomorrow. Then Wednesday, ranking all the Evil Deads, including the series. Thursday, Ransom with Mel Gibson. Friday, American Pie 2. Then Sunday, I'm gonna watch Guardians, not in theaters, but I'm gonna find a way to watch Guardians 3. I might review it. I don't know yet. I'll keep y'all posted on it because I'm debating whether to review it or not. I'm gonna watch it. I just don't know if I'm gonna review it. If I do, then we'll do a spoiler review for that on Friday. If not, I might just do Marvel movie pitch part 2. I might just do a second part to the Marvel pitch I did a couple weeks ago. So if I decide not to review Guardians. So there will be a video Sunday. It'll be one of those two. But my top 5 from 1983. I felt like it was a good list. There was some good ones here. It's just this one was a bit slower. It wasn't like one of those years where there's a banger. But next Monday, potentially, like I said, it could be 10 because 84 had so many. 84 in general, just not just movies. Like that was when I really feel like the 80s really kicked in. Was 84. I mean, that's when I'll mention a couple like the first Terminator, Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday Part 4, Dune, even though it's not one of my favorite movies. Like, there's just a bunch that year, so I'm definitely gonna. That one could be a fun one to do, so I can't wait to get to 84 next Monday. But we'll do this one. There was some good ones. My number 5, which I'll say here in a second. My number 5 is Psycho 2. This was one that when I first found out there was a Psycho sequel, I was like, what? For the longest, I assumed it was a one-off story. But no, there was a Psycho 2. And when I found it, I checked it out, and I thought it was gonna be. I'm not gonna lie. When I first heard it, I had to have been at least maybe 21. I'm thinking, and I was thinking Yeah, this was gonna be absolute shit. I thought this was gonna be an awful movie, and my god, it is good. Not as good as the original, but it is good. It's a character study of Norman Bates in general, how they were able to do it. Not also, it also doesn't ruin the first one. Sorry about that. I really like, yeah, it's a character, it dives into his mind. He's trying to, live as a normal person and hold back his urges of killing. He can't. He ends up giving in and starts killing people. Kills are fun. It's a fun character study, and I really like how they were able to explain the story. And it does go a little bit into his origin, a little bit, not too much to where it's ruining or anything, but it just gives you a little bit. It's the really good look into his psyche. Like, you just kind of see he's a crazy guy in the first movie. This one really dives into it. That's why I really like. I'm definitely gonna review. I mean, if I'm gonna review Psycho 2, I have to review the original. I'll definitely review the original. Maybe Halloween time, since we've kind of done a lot of the main horror franchises, so why not? So maybe closer to like Halloween and stuff, I might do Psycho 1 and 2, because this is really good, and I actually recommend. This is one I actually say people should watch, because I can understand some people being like, just the idea of like a Psycho 2. It's like, what the fuck? But it's really good. Like, it holds up. I was shocked. I was actually pleasantly surprised after it went off. I was like, wow, this is good. I didn't think this was gonna be good, but it really was. So definitely recommend it. So that's my number 5 for 1983, Psycho 2. My number 4 is Never Say Never. Wait, no. Sorry, that's my number 3. My number 4 is Sleepaway Camp. This is one I watched like as a kid. So I obviously just, I didn't put two and two together. But when I watched it as an adult, oh my god, rewatched it last year. It definitely came after that post, Friday the 13th. But it wasn't a Friday the 13th ripoff. It really wasn't. I mean, the only similarity is that there was killings on a camp. But there was actual campers. And Angela, Felissa Rose, I think is her name. She does a really good job as Angela in this movie. She plays the creepy girl, and you don't suspect it's her. And that reveal in the end, that's a fucked up scene. That will burn into your mind. That will be one of those scenes you're gonna remember. But the kills are crazy. It's a fun 80s movie. It's definitely not one I'm gonna put on all the time, but it's a fun, like, solid as a slasher film. I think it does its job. And I'm not gonna lie, you kind of root for some of the kills. And yeah. I definitely recommend it. That ending, I'm gonna tell you guys, that ending will fuck you up, man. Even to this day, even though this film came out in 1983, it will fuck you up. So that is my number 4. My number 3 is Never Say Never Again, which is a Bond film, which I'm actually going to get to eventually, because I think we're getting close to the ones in the 80s. This is Sean Connery's last performance. I remember always watching this as a kid. I like the whole aging Bond thing. That's why he was initially, the premise pretty much is suspends Bond because he fails like some kind of test because of his age. But Fatima is the villain of the film, who works for Spectre, does some bad stuff. Bond gets called back, and we basically see an old Sean Connery's last ride. That's really what it is. It's a perfect end to the Connery era of Bond. Like, it's like, this is a perfect way to end the character. It's a fun movie. We get to see Bond on the last adventure. And I'm not gonna lie, old Sean Connery being a badass is great. Or older. He's not, I don't feel like he's old, but he's older. I love it. It's a perfect crescendo to the Connery era of Bond. And it's crazy because it's still going on while fucking Roger Moore still being Bond. So that's the crazy part of it. But yeah, it's a great one. You can almost watch it as like if you just watch the Connery era Bond movies by themselves and then you end it with this works. This is a perfect end of his or that version of Bond's arc. So I love it. So it's definitely on my list. I cannot wait till we get to review it. Because Spy Who Loved Me is 77, so I'm assuming couple films we're gonna be in the 80s, so we're gonna be reviewing this one pretty soon. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is Cujo. I always loved this movie as a kid. One of the reasons I never actually read the book, but reason I always love this movie anything with like, especially because I always loved Jaws. So anything with like killer animals always kind of got me. In this movie about a killer dog, obviously it's a regular dog named Cujo who ends up getting bit by a bat, gets rabies, becomes really aggressive. And then the scene with the mom, Donna, and her son, Tad, just basically she's trying to protect them while the dog, they're locked. One of my favorite scenes is them just locked in the car and the mom trying to like protect her son in the car while the dog's trying to get in. It's a solid movie. And the dog killing people is crazy. Kill wise, it's not the most over the top movie, but it works. The premise is just in general great. And it's a sad tale because obviously you love dogs, but you understand it's like a mixed thing. You kind of get why they have to put it down, but you still don't want to see it, But it's an awesome movie. I think it's a classic. Probably I've never read the book, so hopefully eventually I'm gonna read it. I'll probably listen to the audiobook. It's probably somewhere on YouTube. So I'll eventually listen to the audiobook. But yeah, Cujo is just an all around great movie. So can't wait. I'm definitely gonna review it, honestly. I'm gonna probably add that to the list when we get, even though it's not necessarily a Halloween related movie, but I can probably review that like in late September, October time. So I'll probably add that to the list. And then my number 1, Scarface. I mean, to me, I've always loved this movie. This is one of those movies where it's the perfect movie about a rise and a fall. If you want to rise and fall of a character, the rise and fall of Tony Montana. I've never seen the original, so I can't really speak on that, but just this version of the movie is such a classic. I mean, Al Pacino's performance, and just in general, like his rise, from small time, when he arrives in America doing small time even just that scene where he tries to do the initial deal and, he gets basically almost, kidnapped by the other, I don't know, I think they're Colombians, I could be wrong, but yeah, they had like chains, so that scene's fucking crazy. That, like, I remember watching that the first time, just being like, my God, because he kind of gave it, even at that time, kind of what those drugs, because they were not that far off what actual drug dealers do to each other, but yeah, then this rise, you have young Michelle Pfeiffer in it. I love that movie, and the soundtrack's great, very iconic. I'm not gonna lie, I just put on the fucking Scarface soundtrack just randomly for no reason. It's just a great one. Even just like the regular music that's in the movie, but then you got like Push It to the Limit, a lot of very 80s songs, but it works. And then just that iconic ending, say hello to my little friend. I mean, what's not to love about Scarface? I mean, this is definitely gonna be another one I'm gonna review at some point. It definitely deserves a video. It's an iconic film. I mean, his rise and fall. I mean, even just that scene in the end, his sister getting killed before, even though she tried to almost kill him, he still like felt bad when she got obliterated. That still scene. That whole movie. I love the movie. And I'm gonna be honest, the game. There's a video game that basically is a what if. If Tony didn't die in that house, he managed to make his way out and he get his revenge. That's basically what it is. It's essentially a sequel, if a what if sequel. But it's a fun video game. So if you can, I don't know how much it is now, but I would definitely get it if you can. Just or even just watch the YouTube story. It's a fun game. It's it's a fault solid like what if it got a 2. But yeah, Scarface is a classic, so I definitely love it. But yeah, it's to this day one of the most talked about films in history, definitely. So cheers, guys. But yeah, that's my list from 1983. Cannot wait to do 1984. 84 has so many good ones. I'll spoil my number one. It's the first Terminator. I mean, that first Terminator was such a classic. That like changed like well, that's the movie that made Arnold big. I mean, yeah, he did Conan, but this was the one that made him a star. And just it's so iconic, and it was one of my favorite movies that I reviewed. I just love it. Love that first Terminator. It's a perfect. I love the horror tone. Granted, I do love T2 more, smidgen, just more because T2 hits me in the feels. But that first Terminator is so good. You know, Michael Biehn, yeah, the cast was fun. So many fun sequences. I love the music. So yeah, that's definitely gonna be on the list. The first Ghostbusters, Nightmare on Elm Street is probably gonna be number 2. So I'll spoil 2 of my tops. Cause yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street is that first Nightmare on Elm Street's such an iconic horror film. But anyway, I don't want to drag on about those. I can't wait. I'll wait till next week. But yeah, that's can't wait till we do 1984. But yeah, tomorrow, Sisu review. I'm hearing from people who've seen it that it's really good and it's really badass. A lot of violence. Yeah, that'll hook me. If you just give me a straightforward badass action flick for like an hour and a half, that's all I need. So the trailer captivated me when I saw it for John Wick. So yeah, but anyway, cheers, y'all, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. As usual, talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.